gents, so today what we're going to do is we're going to be putting a clutch into the engine of one of these Madix four-wheelers. The Madix, the Premium Madix, the Grizzly, they all have the same engine, so they all have the same clutch. When you know your clutch is done, basically you put it in drive and you hit the gas and nothing happens. So the motor will make a lot of noise, but your ATV is not moving or it's barely moving. So that's a clutch issue. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just tear the engine out of this, so that it's a lot easier for me to show you in a video how easy it is to change the clutch. Explain to you how easy it is to take out an engine. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure all your plugs are unplugged. This is the stator plug, so you're going to unplug that first. Then all you need to do is disconnect your starter battery or your starter wire. You can do that either from the solenoid or you can take it off right from the starter here. Okay, and then I'm going to flip the motor up. These are the bottom engine mount bolts right here. There's 4 of them. So they're a number 10 bolt. They're very easy again. You just go to the bottom of the ATV, you take off 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the bottom ones. And then you just have to go back. There's one long pin on the back of the engine here. So you'll have to take that pin out. Obviously you have to take the chain off. So that's how easy it is to take out an engine. So we got the engine out. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna drain the oil out of it. I could have done it on the machine, but I decided to do it off so that you guys could see just how easy it is here. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to get the oil plug off. Just want to make sure my ratchet's the right way. So I've got a helper here so we can there we go. So I got my oil plug out. Again, your oil plug does not need to be in super tight, just snug. Anytime you put steel into an aluminum frame, it's just not good. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna drain the oil out. There we go. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove our case. So right here, you're gonna need number 8mm ratchet. So we're just gonna use a small one. We're just gonna take out all our 8mm bolts. I like to go around and just loosen them off first, and then I take them out after. Again, these bolts do not have to be overly tightened when we put them back on. Steel into aluminum does not need to be tight. It'll just strip, and you don't want to do that. Something I'd like to talk to you about real quick is I'll shift the engine back. These bolts, a lot of people get confused on how they go in. So if you are having a hard time with something like that, so if you take that out at the top, just set it at the top. And then if you take this one out here, just put it there, exactly where it's going to be. And then the bottom one, same thing. Now if you see, I took out all my bolts in the same pattern then they go back into the crankcase. I really don't need to do that when I do it, but I just kind of know where all the bolts go. But if you have a question or you're worried about it, that's the easiest way to do it. So then you know where, when you put the case back on, where each bolt goes. So next we're just going to tap that, and we're going to shake it and give it a pull off. Okay, so then there's going to be a little bit of oil. It can't be helped. There's nothing we can do about it. So this is going to be your clutch. There's a little spring here that's missing, so I don't know where that is, but I'll try to figure it out where. So first things first, we're going to take this off. This is just the actuator arm for the shifter, if you see, and it just goes like that. So we're going to take that off. We're going to set it off to the side. And we're going to pull out the inside. I'm going to set that off to the side. Then I'm just going to grab real quick a Phillips screwdriver so we can pull that off. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to take out all of these Phillips screws right here. And they shouldn't be difficult to take out. And we'll just set them off to the side. Okay, so our screws are off, and then you're going to take this cover right off, and that has the bearing spring in it. So we'll put it off to the side too. Okay, then you're going to need, it's a clutch spanner tool. It's very easy to get one of these. You can get it on Amazon. It's like $19 or something like that. And that's to take this bolt off. So the first thing though you're going to do is you'll see there's a little tab right there. It's pushed in on the bolt. So you're going to separate that and push it off. Separate it off that bolt. Okay. Then we're going to take our impact. And it's always easier to remove this not with an impact. So we got that off. This is the nut I'm talking about. So we're going to put that off to the side, and then we're going to pull our clutch out. Oh, we're going to remove a little washer piece. Okay, and that goes off the spanner nut to the side. Now we're going to remove our clutch. Now if you look underneath here, you're going to see a little C-clip. So the first thing we're going to do, just make a little room. I'm going to take the C-clip. All you have to do to take the C-clip off is you just need a flat screwdriver. Just give it a little bend in. Just pry it out all the way around, and that's it. Okay, then you're going to remove this top plate, and you're going to set it off to the side. I'm not going to show you this clutch because somebody installed this clutch incorrectly. So I'm going to just take this off the side here. There should be 3 plates. So we got our 3 plates. There we go. Then we're going to get our nice new clutch right here. And I'm going to show you when you're installing it, how to install it correctly, so that you don't have the problem that customer had. Okay, so when you're taking your first clutch plate in, you want to make sure and put a clutch. This is the clutch, and this clutch is just like the brake pads on your car. So when the engine goes to grab, it grabs these just like it would on your brake pads, slowing you down. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that there's a clutch pad to a nice soft surface. So if you see this nice smooth surface, this clutch pad goes in right on top of it. Okay? Then the center one, if you look at the center pad, it's got pads on both sides. Okay? So it's going to go in next. When you put this one in, you want to line up these grooves here with the springs. So we're going to line them up just like that. Okay? And then we have our last clutch pad. And you notice I'm not going to put the clutch pad to clutch pad because that's not going to make any sense. Again, you have to make it to the smooth surface. So now we're going to install this clutch pad. And then back to our smooth thing. Now when you're reinstalling this, you'll see that there's little nubs all on the outside of that. Those little nubs all line up with these springs to hold the springs in place. So then we got our springs in place. Everything kind of pushes and holds together nicely. And then we reinstall our C-clamp. To install the C-clamp, you literally just need your fingers. And that is how simple it is to rebuild your clutch. So you don't have to go out and buy a clutch or anything like that. There's no need of it. It's just a real simple, easy way to rebuild your clutch. Making sure that your pad placement is correct when you put it together is key. So now we have our clutch now. I can go ahead and slip it on. There. And you want it to push back so you have all these threads. Sometimes you have to give it a little good shove, but give it a good shove in until it clicks into place. That's where I want it to be. Next then, we're going to put on our O-ring again, and this will lock the nut in place. This is easily turned in with your fingers. Sometimes you might have to persuade it with a screwdriver, but you just want to turn it in until it's nice and tight at the bottom. Some engines don't have it that it turns in. It just goes in, you just push it in, but this one turns in, so we'll turn it in. Okay, so that's all the way in. So then we're going to take our little washer here. We're going to put that one in. And we're going to take our nut. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to use my impact to put that back on. I'm only going to put the impact at 1. You don't need to over torque this. Again, you can see the torque marks on this as somebody has torqued the hell out of it. You don't need to do that. It doesn't need to be held in like that. So we're gonna put our, there we go. Okay, so you'll see now it's fully installed here. Now you see how I have that tab of steel there? Okay, so you wanna take your screwdriver and just bend that tab of steel just into the groove. And all that does is it stops this nut from ever getting loose. So now that's in tight. We got our new clutch in, and that's perfect. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and put our cover back on. Put our screws back in. Okay, so then you got to put your actuator back in. So it's going to go back in right here. And then this is the shifter for you to shift it. So we're going to want to put it in. And that slips in just like that. Okay, now right here, there's a release bearing. That release bearing is missing from this engine. What it is, it's just a little cylinder with a spring on the back of it. And you're gonna slip that in this hole before you put your cover on. I don't have this part. It didn't come back with the ATV, so I'm gonna have to order it. So it's not a huge issue, but anyway, you're gonna need that little release bearing here. And what it does is it contacts right here on the shifter, okay? But right now, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put our cover back on because I'll get the new parts in and I'll just put it on. So that's another little pointer I'm gonna give you is when you're putting your cover on, if you notice, there's a little tab here that kind of sticks out, and there's a little tab here. What that does is it holds your gasket in place. So when you want to put your cover back on, you're not worried about holes or anything like that. But you'll see that that one went down a little bit. So we're going to just make sure it's all nice and straight before we put it on, because we don't want it to leak oil, right? So now we're going to take our cover. We're going to just very, very gently slip it into place, hit a little like that with my hand, and then we're going to put our cover bolts back in. Okay, so I got all my bolts in. They're nice and tightened. If you check out some of my other videos, I explain about tightening bolts. When you do tighten bolts, you don't go just around in a circle. Never do that. Go from one side to the other. So if you go here, then down here, then over here, then over here. Like you want to go cross pattern all the time. You don't want to go around in a circle when you're putting your bolts in. So this engine now, it's all ready to go. There's the new clutches in it, and we can reinstall it in the machine. You do not have to pull it out of your ATV to do the clutch in it. You only have to take off your right footwell, and all access to the clutch is right there. But I took this out for the simple fact it's a lot easier to show me or to show you guys how to do the clutch while I have it out. All right, so that's our video for the day. Hope you liked it. Like and subscribe. Leave your comments below.